What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here helping you take your game to the next level. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you hands down the best offense in Madden 18. Now, if this is your first time checking out one of my videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. Make sure to hit the bell icon so that you join the notification squad and never miss an upload. So guys, I'm excited about today's video because the Jumbo Heavy is back. Not that it really went anywhere. It's still tough this year like it was last year, but it was pointless to make a video about it because most of y'all play MUT, and the alternate playbooks were not available in MUT until about a day or two ago. They finally released all the alternate playbooks, you know, like the West Coast, the Run and Gun, Run Balanced, which the Jumbo Heavy is in the Run Balanced playbook. So I didn't want to break it down before because it would have been useless to most of y'all unless you were playing Reg. So now that the alternate playbooks have been released, it's only right to release the Jumbo Heavy scheme. Now, Jumbo Heavy caught fire last year in the tournament community. A lot of people started running it. I ran it, during the second half of the year, and it was my favorite offense of the year personally. It's up for debate whether it was the best offense or whether Gun Bunch was the best offense, but they were for sure the top two. And you can kind of say the same thing this year. Jumbo Heavy is looking tough again, but so is Gun Bunch. So it's really up to your style, what you like to run. But for today, I'm gonna break down Jumbo Heavy for you guys. I think it is the hardest offense to stop because it's easy to pass out of. You can really beat what a lot of people are trying to do on defense out of this formation, and it's really good with the ground game as well, which is a big plus. So really the only downside to it this year is that you can't put wide receivers on the outside. You have to use 4 tight ends. So if you're playing MUT, that's a little bit easier because you can just get 4 really good tight ends in MUT. If you're playing Regs, there's really no teams with 4 good tight ends, but the Redskins are one of the better teams, I guess, because they just have a lot of fast tight ends. But your main two, you for the most part, you want your best 2 route runners on the inside. It's not necessary, but I think it's best to have them on the inside. And the play we're going to always want to come out in is the PA counter waggle for passing. The only other 2 plays I would come out in would be the stretch and the toss. The other plays we're going to run out of this are the halfback dive, the tight end corners, and the PA tight end cross. Those are all formation audibles, so we don't need to come out in those. Now, to set up the PA counter waggle, I have 2 setups for this, but the main one is going to be just streaking A and blocking the running back, and then I want to motion snap this X tight end out a few steps. So you're going to see against the cover 4 hard flat look, we can hit this corner all day. And the good thing about this corner, I feel like this corner is a little bit better this year because last year it destroyed cover 2, and it still destroys cover 2 this year, but it didn't really beat like cover 3 and cover 4 that well. It was a lot tighter of a throw, but this year, like you can see, that's Chris Harris over there, best cornerbacks in Regs, 91 plus zone coverage. He can't defend it, so that's huge. If he can't defend it, no cornerback's going to defend it. So that's one thing we can hit with the underneath cover 4 coverage. If they were to somehow user that, which most people ain't going to use the sideline like that, but if they did, then we're just going to hit this post coming across the middle. That's going to be our later read. It develops a little bit later. So that's the 2 ways we can beat that. If they were to play cover 4 cloud flat coverage, that's going to take away our deeper stuff. In that case, we're just going to hit this Y route coming across, which is it's like a drag, but it's a little bit deeper than a regular drag. We can rat catch it and get 10 plus yards easy with it. Now, the alternate setup for this is to put the X receiver or the tight end on an in route and motion snap him. So if you're playing someone that's playing a lot of like cloud flat coverage, they're not playing underneath, then you might want to go ahead and put him on an in route, because if they use this Y route, well, then you have the X route coming underneath as a check down, and you can pick up 5 to 8 yards with him on a check down. He'll if they're following the drag across the field, you can look back over the middle and you have the X in route trailing it. So that's just an alternate setup I like to throw in. Now against Tampa 2, again, this kills Tampa 2 again this year. So first we're going to look at the B route, and again, that's Chris Harris in a cloud flat over there. He won't defend this. That was overthrown by Cousins there, but you can see that we had Davis wide open. We'll throw it one more time. Hopefully Cousins will give us a good pass. And you don't have to pass lead this against cover 2. You just want to bullet pass it. Once you see that he clears the cornerback, just bullet pass it. Make sure the possession catch, you get those feet down. Huge gain every single time. Now, another thing we have against cover 2 is we're going to have the Y route. Just like it worked last year, the cloud flat is not going to really defend either. He's just going to kind of stay in like no man's land, and you'll be able to pick up 5 to 6 yards underneath with the drag route. Now, what is also great about this is if you're playing someone that runs this Tampa 2 look, which a lot of more experienced players are doing this, The reason they put this guy here is to take away stuff like post routes, but you're going to see with this play, it's not going to happen. He's going to actually follow this streak, so watch what happens here. So against Tampa 2, we actually have 3 things we can hit, even if they put that guy in the deep blue zone. And we got hit with the block shot there, but we're going to throw it one more time. If you were paying attention up top, you would see that that X was wide open, but the blocks just didn't hold up for us. So we're going to run it one more time, and I'm going to show you that he's just going to follow that A receiver down the field. And you can see post route wide open, just possession catch it. So we have 3 things we can absolutely destroy what's becoming the more popular coverage in the game, the Tampa 2 with the deep blue middle. We have 3 routes that just can't cover. It can't cover the post, it can't cover the corner, and it can't cover the drag underneath. So this is really going to destroy people that love Tampa 2. Cover 3, I'm not going to run through everything against cover 3 because cover 3 is going to work the same it does against cover 4. If they're playing underneath, you're going to hit the deep stuff. If they're playing over top, you want to hit the drag underneath. And you're going to see again, Chris Harris, he can't jump it. He gets close, but he's not going to jump it. As long as you possession catch it, you're going to be good. Now against man, I will say that the B route, that's probably the only knock on this play this year, is it's not as good against man because you don't have the speed of a wide receiver there or like the great crazy route running. So it's not really going to get open against a good cornerback in man. You're going to that's usually going to be a lot more open than that. I don't know why he was all over Jordan Reed that time, but that typically doesn't happen. He usually smokes his guy pretty decently in man coverage. So we'll run it again, and you see there, that's what usually happens. You're going to have a lot more separation. I mean, yeah, every once in a while the linebacker will defend it, but more times than not, if you're facing man, that should be a good option for you. And you really won't see man defense too much online. It's just most people play zone all game long. Like I hardly ever go into man defense. I might run man like 2 plays out of the whole game. So anyway, the next play is tight end corners. Now this was a crazy play last year. People had tons of setups out of this last year. You can do a lot of different crazy setups with this. I only like to run one main setup this year. I like to keep it simple. So the setup I run with this is I'm going to put X and B on drag routes. And this is going to pretty much be virtually an unguardable play. If they're playing underneath coverage, those corners are open all day. I don't care what the zone coverage of the DBs are. They're getting open. If they play cloud flat coverage and they're playing back, the drags are going to eat all day long. So here's a cover 4 hard flat look. Quick pass it. Hold A, get down. Chris Harris was nowhere near making a play there. I'll run it one more time. And like I said, you have to keep in mind, if Chris Harris can't make this play, then none of those souped up cornerbacks and Mutt can make it either. Anybody with 91 plus zone coverage isn't making it if Chris Harris isn't making it. He's nowhere near him. He's like nearly 5 yards away. You can do it on both sides of the field. So now if they were to give you cloud flat coverage look, you're going to be able to eat with the drags underneath all day long. It does not matter. All day long, rack catch it, go up the field. You're picking up 10 plus yards with the drag. This play right here is virtually unguardable. You have to make a lot of adjustments to guard this. So here we'll go cover 2. And the good thing about this is, again, this is going to beat the popular cover 2 coverage too, because they're dropping that middle linebacker back over the middle to the deep middle. We don't even have anybody going over the deep middle of this play, so he's just pretty much taking they're taking an extra defender out of the play if they do that. So here, cloud flat coverage will even throw to Chris Harris's side of the field, and you see we got about 7 yards there easy. And if we do that a step later, we probably get 10 yards out of that, honestly. But either way, 7 yards on a drag, we'll take that all day long. We'll run it one more time. I'll run it to the opposite side of the field. Same setup. They're just running a standard Tampa 2, no underneath coverage. Throw it, rack catch it. Like I said, you can see there. Got about 8, almost 9 yards. Now, you're not really going to typically see too much hard flat cover 2, but if you do, corner routes will be wide open. You don't want to throw them as quick because you're going to see the linebackers there, so you have to wait for them to like clear all that. Throw it to the sideline. Possession catch. Good money all day. Same thing against cover 3. It's the same against every coverage in the game. If they play underneath, you quick pass those corner routes. If they play back, you eat them up with the drags. It's virtually an unguardable play. If they play man, honestly, I mean, again, man is a little bit more decent against this, but if you have those better route runners, especially in Mutt, the corners will get open all day. So I have Jordan Reed on the inside. He's a pretty good route runner. Right when he cuts, we throw it. We hold A and we get down. Same with the drags. The drags will typically get open if you have some speed there, but you don't want to wait too long to throw them because the cornerbacks will be able to catch up because they're faster. So this play right here, you know, the average person you play online is not going to know how to stop that play. They're going to have all their good, you know, zone coverage guys out there. They're not going to be able to stop it because the way this form, it's so compressed, those cornerbacks aren't reacting to those corner routes quick enough. So next we want to look at PA tight end cross. This was a play that wasn't as popular out of Jumbo last year. This was like the passing play that kind of nobody used. I mean, I didn't use it for sure, but I actually really like this play this year. Now, how I set this up is I want to drag A, and then I want to put B on a whip route. And I'm going to actually leave the play action on this. Now, what I love so much about this play is the crossing route to read and the comeback by X, because most comebacks are on the outside of the field by the sideline, but I'm going to show you why it's nice having this comeback in compressed like this. So we're going to play the cover 4 hard flat coverage, and I like this because like when it breaks, it runs like it has more space to run diagonally, so it actually runs away from Talib there. I'm going to show this one more time because it makes it even harder for them to jump it, because the comeback has room to like run backwards more, whereas when it's on the sideline it doesn't. And you see like it runs away from the cornerback, so like nobody will ever be able to jump it. So if they're playing underneath coverage, your reads are going to obviously be on this play. You're going to want to look for the comeback, and you're going to want to look for the crossing route. If they play underneath, you're going to look for the drag and the whip route. Now, throwing this, you want to practice throwing this crossing route. You want to throw it with a pass lead down because it runs just a little bit too deep. So if we throw it regular, Chris Harris will have a chance to intercept it. You want to throw this with a pass lead down. So how you do this is when you're throwing it to him, you want to hold the LB or the L1 button. And then you want to pass lead with your left joystick at about 4 or 5 o'clock on the joystick, and that'll throw it away from the cornerback. You want to possession catch it, and he'll get down every single time. That's underneath coverage. Now, if they're playing cloud flat coverage, we'll put them in the cloud flat coverage here. And again, you're just going to take the underneath stuff. You could take the drag, or you can take the whip route. Rack catch them, go upfield there. We got about 6 or 7 yards before contact with the whip route. Drag on the other side of the field. We'll go cover 2 now, and we'll show you. And this is why I put him on a whip route, because I like to test things out. I tried him on a flat, I tried him on an out route, and Chris Harris would make a better play on it. He'd only get 2 or 3 yards, and it would be close to getting picked. But when you put him on the whip route, Chris Harris does not really jump down on it. As you see, the whip route, he was in a cloud flat coverage. Whip route got 8 yards. I want to demonstrate, because I'm gonna put him on just like a regular flat route this time and show you. So we put him on a flat route, and you see how close he was to the flats. That wait, I played the wrong coverage. I'm sorry. All right, go to cover 2. All right, so I'm gonna put him on a flat route and watch the difference. So the whip route got about 8 yards. You're gonna see the flat route, he's right on his neck. Like he got 1.5 yards, 2 yards. So the whip route makes a huge difference on that play. Cover 3, same thing. If they're playing underneath, you're going to want to take the comeback or the crossing route. If they're playing over top, you're just going to take the stuff in the flats. That's why I like, schemes like this. Everything is the same. It's the same versus every coverage. That's how I build my schemes. That's how I build my money plays. If they play low, you go high. If they play high, you go low. Now, this typically is going to be a little bit better versus man, because you have the comeback route, which is pretty good versus man. The better the route running, obviously, the better it'll be. So we'll go here to the play action. When he cuts back on his comeback, you just bullet pass it, hold A to possession catch it. Easy money versus man. This is probably the best play to run against man, in my opinion. If someone's running a lot of man on you for whatever reason, this would be the play I run more often, because to me it has the most consistent man beaters. The crossing route kills man, as you can see. I mean, Jordan Reed's off for a touchdown there. So this is probably the best man beater out of the formation. So that's all the passing plays. Let's get into the run plays now. Obviously, the dive is your formation audible. If they're not, if they're leaving the box open, like if they're spreading linebackers and they're moving people to try to get them over the tight ends, man them up or whatever. If they leave that middle vulnerable, you audible to the dive every play, and you take what they give you. You take your 4 to 5 easy yards every single play. I mean, the dive year in and year out is my favorite run, because I feel like it's always the most consistent. Sometimes stretches can get in tosses, as good as they are, they can get blown up. Dives don't usually get blown up. Like if a dive, at worst case, you might get no yards on a dive, but you're never really going to lose yards on a dive. And consistently, you'll get 4 to 5 yards. You're not going to get a lot of home run hits with the dive, but it's consistent. So that's why I like it. So anytime they leave the middle open, just dive every time. It's easy yards. So now let's go to the other run plays. I really like the toss this year. I didn't like the toss that much out of this last year, but as you know, tosses are very popular this year. I put a couple of them on the channel. Obviously, there's the Singleback tight slots toss that Stevie J made famous. That's still one of the best in the game. I put the I-form toss on the channel. That's a great toss. This one, just as good. You're just going to want to follow your blockers. You're usually going to have a wide gap on either side of the field when you run the toss. It's not going to be automatic because sometimes they might defend it. See, here, I would honestly run a dive on this, but no one's going to run quarter on you, I wouldn't imagine, in a game. But if for whatever reason they did, then yeah, you would want to run a dive in that situation. But you're just going to want to kick out, let your kick out blocker block for you. You don't want to jam turbo too fast. Follow the blocker, let him engage, and then you want to run. The good thing is you can flip this run without your opponent knowing because the formation is symmetrical. You can do the same with the passes. You hit X or square, and then you hit RT or R2, and that flips the run without there being a giveaway. So you just want to run to the weak side of the field every time. See, there I outran my blocker. That wasn't good. I should have slowed up a little bit, or I should have juked back inside. I would have got a lot more yards. Goal line pretty much doesn't do anything on this. That was a bad block there by the tight end, but we still got to the outside in 4 yards. If he would have held there, we would have gotten a lot more. Something else you could do on these outside runs is motion the inside tight end. Sometimes it makes the blocking better, especially on the toss. See, like here, if he would have caught that guy, we're to the house. But, you know, sometimes they block like morons. But that's something you can consider doing on the outside runs. It's going to make the defense shift sometimes, but it's okay because you're gonna open up gaping holes just like that. As long as your blocks hold for just a second, you're off to the races. And definitely, you know, I posted the juke move video the other day. Use the juke move to your advantage. It's so good this year. You're guaranteed to make the first person miss, and it turns a lot of these runs into touchdowns. So the last play we're going to look at is the stretch. I'm not the best at running stretches. I'll just say that right now. Other people can dominate with this run. I'm not as good with it. I definitely find that the stretch is better when you motion a tight end. I find that it's way better. Like, it gives you way more gaping holes. See there, I mean, like, we had the hole, but they couldn't hold the block. I'm not good at running stretches. Like I said, I'll say it right now. And I find that when I run stretches, I need to run them to the left. Like, to the left is where I find I'm good at running stretches. I like running to the left just in general, like tosses, stretches. I find that's just like an old Madden, like a myth, but I just feel like they've always been better to the left side of the field. It just feels that way for me. I don't know if anybody else agrees, but simple run. Like I said, if you want some extra blocking, it is going to give the run away a little bit, but you know, motion the inside guy over, and I tried to flip the run there, but I didn't. I meant to go left. But definitely motion that inside guy over. It definitely will help with the blocking. You'll notice you'll get more gaping holes when you motion this guy over versus when you just run it regularly. But either way, if the blocking holds up, see, the guy just don't want to block. If the blocking holds up, that's a huge run. But those are the main runs. I definitely like the dive and the toss better. The stretch definitely good, but you need a little bit more patience and know how to hit holes to run it. But this is the scheme, man. Tough passing plays, tough running plays, very hard to stop. Definitely get it in your arsenal. It's in the run balance playbook. If you enjoyed this video, as always, just drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.